Zhang Weili has already made a name for herself as the first Chinese UFC champion in history, and even though she has lost her title since then, she managed to rock the organization she worked for with a spinning backfist from hell. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Weili's performance in her recent fight, along with some other related UFC news. Let's dive in. What happened at UFC 275? UFC 275 took place in Singapore on June 12, 2022, and it featured Zhang Weili as one of the headliners for the first time in a long time. Weili had just been through two consecutive losses in 2021 to Rose Namajunas when we saw her lose the championship, and this was supposed to be her comeback fight. She was facing off against Joanna Jedrzejczyk, another former champion. The two faced off once before on UFC 248, back when Weili was still champion. Their previous fight is often considered the greatest women's match in the history of the UFC, and needless to say, their rematch was highly anticipated. Even though their bout lasted all 5 rounds, this one was cut short thanks to an incredible maneuver by Zhang Weili. Around 2 minutes and 25 seconds into the fight, Weili hit Joanna with a brutal spinning backfist that probably sent Joanna into retirement. She was completely knocked out, and this was the first case of a woman ever using a spinning backfist in the UFC. The move was instantly iconic, and we've seen about 1 million different angles of it already. Even though it wasn't the main headliner of the night, it was certainly the move that captured the most social media attention. What's next for Zhang Weili? 2021 was a terrible year for Weili. She lost her championship to Rose Namajunas, and then she lost the rematch as well. Many people started to predict the downfall of Weili, and some even compared it to that of Ronda Rousey. Regardless, she proved all of her critics wrong at UFC 275, and now her sights are set for something bigger than just another victory over Joanna. She wants to recapture the gold. The current UFC Women's Strawweight champion is Carla Esparza, who won the title from Rose Namajunas on UFC 274. Esparza doesn't exactly have a solid record herself. She has won 19 fights, only 4 of which were by knockout, and lost 6. In comparison, Weili has won 22 fights, half of which were by knockouts, and she's only lost 3. Weili compares favorably to Esparza in almost every way, and after her win over Joanna, she is the top contender for the championship. So for now, it seems like Weili will have to focus on setting up a match between her and Esparza, although that's easier said than done. Weili said that she wants to use her title shot in October, since the match would be taking place in Abu Dhabi, a neutral ground. She also called Carla a special fighter, saying that they would have a great fight together. What does Esparza feel about this? Even though Weili is ready and prepared for the title opportunity she has earned, it seems like Esparza has a different view of all this. Esparza publicly said that she is not in a rush to arrange a match between her and Weili. Considering how well Weili performed, we don't blame her. Esparza basically came out and said she doesn't care about any of Weili's plans. She said that as a champion, she shouldn't have to abide by Weili's plans, and that she has the right to fight whenever she pleases. She added that if Weili wants a shot at her title, she will have to go on the champion's timeline. Even though this might seem like a cop-out on the part of Esparza, there's a reason behind this. Carla actually first won the UFC championship back in 2015, beating Rose Namajunas in the finals of The Ultimate Fighter. However, she made the mistake of rushing into her first title defense in a bid to prove herself, since she was a rookie in the UFC. Because of that, she ended up losing the title to Joanna Jedrzejczyk just months after becoming the inaugural strawweight champion. Carla is not going to make the same mistake again, but it really makes you wonder how long she'll be able to hold off the defense, considering Weili is the top contender. Sooner or later, she's going to have to defend, and it might not turn out well for her. Now, in other related news, Miesha Tate says she's the uncrowned queen. Even though Weili stole the show at UFC 275, and it was perhaps the only thing anyone could talk about, there was another high-profile women's match during that night. Valentina Shevchenko, the women's flyweight champion, faced off against Taila Santos. During that night, the odds were almost universally in Valentina's favor. There was no betting site that indicated otherwise. However, Taila pulled off an amazing performance, and she came within inches of victory by the end of the 5th round. In the end, there was a split decision, and Valentina was handed the victory. Even though Taila wasn't able to win, her near upset excited another rival of Valentina, Miesha Tate. Miesha recently made the jump from bantamweight to flyweight, and many were skeptical of her ability to beat Valentina, but seeing how well Taila performed against her gave Tate a lot of confidence. She said that she's the uncrowned queen of the flyweight division, and that she's coming for Valentina's title soon. She did say that she was a bit disappointed that Taila lifted the veil of indestructibility off Valentina before she could, but overall, she feels like she has a real chance. Next, Ronda Rousey returning to the UFC. Ronda Rousey was arguably the woman that put the UFC women's division on the map. To this day, she is the most popular female athlete that the UFC ever produced, and despite her messy departure, she is still considered an icon of the octagon. As of right now, Rousey is signed to the WWE, where she is a champion. Even though she had given up all hopes of ever fighting again in the UFC, UFC, a recent statement shows that she might just change her mind under certain conditions. She has said that she would return to the UFC only to fight one specific fighter. Now, you're probably thinking this would be someone like Juliana Pena or Amanda Nunes, but no, Rusi said that the one fighter she would return for is Gina Carano. Carano hasn't fought in over 10 years. She is perhaps most famous for her fight against Chris Cyborg in 2009, and today she is a 40-year-old woman. But to Ronda, Carano is like a hero. She is one of the pioneers of women's MMA, and with Rusi being a pioneer herself, it would make for an interesting matchup. But still, don't hold your breath for a Ronda Rousey return, as she's probably more than happy making millions in the WWE without having to take real punches to the face. Up next, is Kamaru too slow for Canelo? Kamaru Usman is currently gearing up to fight Leon Edwards on UFC 278, in what will certainly be a fight to remember. But even though Kamaru is the likely winner of that matchup, his sights are set for a goal away from the octagon. For months now, Kamaru has been trying to pursue a match between him and the best boxer in the world right now, Canelo Alvarez. Even though Kamaru is pretty confident that he could win this hypothetical blockbuster, boxing experts are a bit more skeptical of his boxing abilities. His opponent at UFC 278, Leon Edwards, also ridiculed Usman's ambitions. He claimed that Usman was simply too slow to go up against someone like Canelo, while also adding that Canelo was his favorite boxer. Edwards said that Usman isn't what he thinks he is, which might be true. Usman is considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, but as we've seen in the past, success in the octagon does not necessarily translate to success in the boxing ring. For now, Usman should focus on maintaining his legacy in the UFC instead of trying to ruin it with a boxing loss. And is Conor McGregor ready to make his return? In case you missed it, Conor McGregor has been somewhat AWOL ever since his devastating loss against Dustin Poirier in July of 2021. During the fight, McGregor broke his tibia, which put him out of business for good. However, McGregor has started to be more active on social media as of late, usually posting things that would generate controversy or attention. All signs point towards him making a return to the UFC soon, but when? We already know that McGregor can't stay out of the spotlight for too long, and now we might have a potential opponent for him. Charles Oliveira recently vacated his UFC lightweight championship due to missed weight, but with that, he came up with an idea. He said he would consider facing off against Conor McGregor for the vacant championship, as he currently has no opponent. However, McGregor is still recovering from his injury, and it's unknown how much longer he will need. Regardless, McGregor will be a shell of his former self, and it's hardly going to be a fair fight if it takes place. That's a wrap for this video. What excites you about the UFC right now? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.